how are yous? My next up is going to be the little Metcalfe building that you saw the train going past over the back there. Now that came free with Railway Modeler. It's this one here up in the background. So I built the platform, it's a separate Metcalfe build, but the little platform shelter came free with the magazine, so I built it the other week there. However, I haven't weathered it, I haven't put anything on it that makes it look a wee bit older, so that is my next challenge. Stick with me, if you will, and we'll go through how I do that. So yeah, remember, if you're enjoying these videos, click subscribe now. It's the best time, there's no better time to do it, so thank you. So I've brought a portable light over so you can see it a bit better, with a bit more clarity. You can see there's absolutely nothing on it. Metcalfe do give a little bit of weathering and it looks great, like hats off to them, they do a fantastic job. But you can see these little white bits down here, it doesn't look realistic, and it's all about trying to get it to a place. So what do we need? We need some paints first of all, and a lot of dry brushing effort. If you don't know what that is, stick with me and I shall show you. So you can see, got my build here, got a little bit of cardboard so I can mix some paint on it. I've got some scatter that I got for eBay. This is a sort of darker green, I think it's good for sort of weathering buildings. I've got some sort of bush material, you can pick that up off the internet fairly cheap in bags, and black and white paints. So what I need to do is mix the paints. I'm going to pause it so you don't get bored, and I'll be back. Top tip, start with white. I've probably been very generous there. You don't need that much to do a little building like this, but it makes it easier for you to see. Put a tiny dip of black in, or you end up, oh by the way, this brush is quite wide and it's deliberate. I found that if you have a wider brush you get a more realistic finish. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Give it a wee mix, don't start black and then add white, or you end up with it really black and having to add loads of white. You can see how grey that goes straight away. Now what has that done? When I'm talking dry brush, what do I mean? I mean wipe it out a lot until there's not much left there, and then what you're doing is go up the edges and just give it a little coat along all the bits that are white that shouldn't really be. Try and cover them up, try and emulate what you're seeing in real life, but you don't have to be too careful. It depends on what level you're going to with this. When I talk weathering, what I mean is what's enough to make it look realistic considering it's a cardboard model, and what actually happens on your own house. And what do you see when you look at the roof? If you make mistakes, fill them out. Where there's a water run, try and think of that and follow that path. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to do at the back end is I am going to add some scatter material. Now from the windows I like to put little drips, as if the water's been following it down from the window for years. And then once I've added some scatter at the back end, you'll see that it covers a lot of sins. I'll pause there and continue for a wee while and see how it turns out. So that's it. You can see it's got a little bit of weathering, whether you like it or whether you don't. Up to you. You could leave it like that, but is it weathered enough? Not for me. You can't quite see it, but I've done one over there that has moss on the roof, and that's what I'm going to do just now. So 50-50 mix of PVA and water. Now what I'm going to do is, where does the moss grow on the roof? I think it tends to go along the top and sort of leaches down the edges. So I'm going to cover these bits with some PVA glue and then just sort of get creative with it where I think it would gather along the edges in the front. It's little dips, doesn't take much to get it to stick to it. Again, down there and then along there. And then simply I'm going to scatter some of this dark green scatter on it and then see what it looks like. It's either going to look bad or good, which is what I'm hoping for. Little bits. And then get my scatter. Now you can use a sieve if you choose to, but when I'm dealing with such little bits I tend not to. I tend to just let it gather. You can see that taken to that straight away, to the bits that are still damp. So you want to move fairly quickly because the 50-50 mix does dry fairly quickly. Now is it right? Is it perfect? Not for me to say. I suppose everybody's got their own tastes. This is how I do it. If you do like this method, please do comment. It would be appreciated. Or if you've got a better way of doing it, one that you prefer, then please comment as well. Quite happy to hear from anybody with regards best practice. How long did that take? Just a minute. Is that right? I think it doesn't look right there, so I'm going to add a wee bit more to here, because I think this roof sort of deserves to be a bit more aged. So I'm just going to do that and then turn it round to there. Same again. Doesn't have to be perfect, you can be creative about where you put it. Drop that on. Now what you can do is, if you've got different types of scatter, different types of grass, you can mix it. I think likely you'd get some gathering down here in the real world and along there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Gather it along the front of the house. Sort of see how that looks. It won't take everywhere. And I'm actually running out in my hand. I'm just going to let that go off. Get some more in my hand, which hopefully you can just see. Sprinkle some more onto the sort of glue that's still setting. Give it another wee hit. And we're beginning to take shape with regards to it being aged. I'm going to go around the back while I'm here, but I'll stop the video and then we'll move on to the next stage. So you can see the weathering's beginning to take a wee bit of shape, quite like it. It's looking okay. Unsure if it could do a bit more here, but I'll figure that out later. What I'm going to show you just now is how to add some of this to it, to sort of give it that, I don't know, ivy growing up a wall sort of effect. You get this stuff, you can get it for anywhere. But I'm thinking adding little bits here and there, just to give it, I don't know, an overgrown effect. This is what's known as tacky PVA glue. You don't have to be too careful with it because it dries in clear. You can see the immediate impact it has. It covers corners and starts to shroud things over. You don't need much of it to have quite a big impact on the feel of a building. So I did it with a Metcalfe church and it turned out really quite well, in fact. Part of it's in the background just now. And do you want to know what? I'll let you into a secret. I used some of this stuff and some of that scatter to cover up a mistake I made. Because even I'm not perfect. I'm thinking a clump there on one side, and just like nature, you don't really want to be repeating things. You don't want too much symmetry in anything. but if I add that there, it will dry in clear. Now here's the thing, my eyesight's terrible, so if I add in things like this, some modelers will tell you, well, that looks awful because I can see that. Well, do you want to know what? I can't, because my eyesight's terrible. So that looks okay to me, and I'm fairly happy with that. And then I'll place it on the layout. I'll have to do this one day, but I'll do it not tonight. This is your sort of standard Metcalf platforms, which I really like because they're so flexible. But anyway, I think it's called the Carlisle. Oh no, it's not the Carlisle, Boutonhall's a bigger one. But yeah, there we are. Let me know what you think, and please do, if you've came this far, you might as well subscribe because you must have liked it. Thank you.